Hello everybody, welcome to Continuity of Learning, Video 1, made in my very own home. I painted that, pretty good, huh? Not bad. In this video, I'm going to make 3 announcements, read Chapter 8 of Balloon Boy, and share a writing sample with you about what I'm hoping you are doing. Announcements. There we go. It's not required, but if you do share a Google Doc with me of your writing, I'll comment. Done a few of those already. Save everything you're working on right now. Take responsibility for this and save it all. I'm going to want to see it. To finish up some of our planets unit, please ask your parents if you can watch Bill Nye, Planets and Moons. I found it on Dailymotion. It's Season 3, Episode 1. It's also on YouTube. Okay. Balloon Boy. Chapter 8. Remember, we just found Reddy had lost his trip to the goldfields because his dad is injured, and he's disappointed. But they're trying to move on. Later that night, as Reddy crept into bed, he found Charles peering at him in the dim light. "Go to sleep," Reddy whispered. "Don't wake up Hugh." Remember, Charles and Hugh are his brothers. "I can't sleep. I need to tell you something. Let's go out on the back porch." "I overheard Mother talking with Mrs. Varnum tonight. She's very upset." "About what?" "Oh, everything. She's worried about Father. The landlord's going to raise the rent. Cousin Margaret wrote Grandma's sick again. She wants to send more money for doctor bills and medicines." Reddy's heart sank. His days were already filled with work. How could he earn any more money? "Can you get me on the altar, Reddy?" his brother Charles asked. "I could quit school and sell papers just like you. That's what I would have done anyway when you and Father went to the goldfields." "There's no openings." "How about the produce man? I could run errands." "He doesn't pay cash. You could maybe do that." Reddy leaned against the porch railing and gazed into the moonlight. An idea had been going in his head for some time right now. What if he traveled to Mariposa by himself? He could stay with Marcus Selden, and they could work the creek bed. Charles could take over Reddy's job at the newspaper and run errands for the fruit vendor, too. He started to tell Charles his idea, but he stopped himself. I got to think about this more. Mother would hate it. Better to have all the details worked out before raising the subject. And Charles needed assurance right now, too. As Reddy glanced at the moonlit backyard, a discarded tin can caught his eye. That's right, they had those back then. He retrieved it and he brought it back to Charles. "Have you ever noticed how many tin cans are thrown away around San Francisco every day?" Without waiting for an answer, hundreds, thousands. "Hey, do you know what solder is?" "Solder?" "That line running down one side of the can, that's solder. It's a mixture of lead and tin, and it holds the can together. If you put a tin can in the fire that's hot enough, the solder will melt and run off to the bottom, like wax rolling down a candle. And when it cools and hardens, it's called pig lead." Pig lead? I don't know. I've heard metalsmiths will buy it by the pound. After school tomorrow, have Hugh help you gather all the empty cans you can find. Let's experiment. Let's see how much money we can make. Charles looked doubtful. "I suppose it's worth a try." One afternoon, a few days later, Reddy came across the Monumental Engine Company struggling to pull a heavy pumper up a steep hill. One of the firemen was Horace Fitz. He boarded the gates home. Reddy watched in fascination as the men finally reached the top of the hill. They reversed the ropes and they carefully lowered the engine back down the sharp incline. Remember, these early fire pump engines were pulled by horses and people and didn't have engines, and San Francisco's hilly. At the end of the training drill, Reddy spoke to Horace. "How much does that thing weigh?" "The iron tub on wheels? 1,000 pounds. He gave a low whistle. "How often do you pull it uphill?" "We practice once a month, but we wanted some extra preparation before next week's dread date." "Dread date?" "May 4th is the anniversary of San Francisco's 2 worst fires, the 1850 and the 1851. Some crazy person might try to mark the occasion by setting the town on fire again." Now Reddy remembered. He'd heard the man at the Alta talking about this recently. The fire of 51 had laid waste to 18 square blocks. Flames raced along the wooden streets, destroying 2,000 buildings. Desperate to stop the flames, firemen had blown up houses with dynamite. But the fire leapt across those gaps and kept going. The glowing sky could be seen for hundreds of miles. Reddy frowned. That could happen again? We have better equipment. Our alarm bell can be heard all over town now, and we've built water cisterns below the main streets. We'd be foolish to let down our guard. And again, in just 3 years' time, San Francisco had grown a lot. Each evening, Reddy counted his earnings for Mother. Then he read Father the newspaper, and he picked out the items that seemed most interesting, where the latest gold discovery were, how high the rivers were, how it takes 6 men to rescue a horse whose legs slipped through a broken board on Long Wharf. Lola Montez, the world-famous dancer, was coming to California. She comes in the story later, and she's a real person, Lola Montez. And that aeronaut named Mr. Kelly was bringing a hot air balloon to San Francisco. Prediction. I remember how long we waited out there in the country. Remember how hot and thirsty I was? Though he couldn't devote much time to it, Reddy still wanted to help Lydia find her brother. But other than placing an advertisement, he didn't know what to do. He agreed with the preacher that Joseph was probably working a gold claim right about now. Reddy questioned Lydia closely about Joseph's past letters. Did she recall specific places he had mentioned? Anywhere he had worked? Anyone he had met? Nothing. Tell me what he looks like, Lydia. Tell me again. Oh, he's tall. He's thin. He has brown hair. How tall? 6'5". You omitted that detail? Your brother is 6'5"? Our parents were both tall. I'm 5'9", Anything else unusual about his looks? He broke his nose when he was 10. It healed badly, so it's pushed to one side. The other boys teased him mercifully. So we're looking for an exceedingly tall man with a crooked nose. People would notice him in a crowd, don't you think? They would remember him. He knew it was a long shot, but after that, if Reddy encountered someone returning from the mining region, he was going to ask about Joseph. But no one remembered a tall man with a bent nose. One day, Reddy saw Reverend Taylor walking down the street with another man. The minister's companion turned out to be Brother Brewster, the preacher leaving the next day to start a church in Placerville, the gold mines. Brother Brewer listened intently to his story. I wouldn't get my hopes up, lad. I've traveled to mining towns since '51. I can't tell you how many funerals I've performed. Men fall from horses, they slip into streams, they catch the fever and die. Others are known as One-Eyed Pete, Crazy Charlie. When they're gone, no one's the wiser. But I never saw anybody with that description. He went to the post office, hopeful. The Peckham letters are still here, Reddy. That's what the clerk told him. The Joseph Peckham letters are still here, not picked up. So that's the end of that chapter. If you were doing, I'm going to ask you to do writing on your reading, a paragraph, please, because you're at that age where we need you to write a paragraph. And so I wrote a paragraph to show you what exactly do I want you to do. And I answered the question, what is this character in your book feeling now? It's backwards on my screen, but then it gets right for yours. You can see I put a topic sentence in green, evidence unmarked, and a conclusion sentence in red. That's kind of how I want you guys to be doing some of your writing for your books. Now, I had said I told your parents I wanted you to do this 3 to 5 times a week. I understand there's a lot going on right now. So you do the best you can. If you need to, stop and pause the video, and here's a model. And get done what you can. I'll be generous with the grades. The most important thing is that you guys stay able to read something, have a thought on your own, and write me a simple paragraph. Okay? And that'll keep you really ready for middle school. All right, my amazing people. Look forward for tomorrow's video, and we'll do the next chapter. Hope everything is well, and use this time to be creative and amazing, and embrace it. We've all needed some time at home. Now we're getting it. Okay, guys. Me and the pink unicorn, Oaks, pink unicorn, or the pink walls of unicorn, say, we'll see you tomorrow. All right, amazing people.